welcome to the Step It Up podcast. I'm Helene. This is my daughter, Penelope.
Hi.
We are stepping it up every day, in every way. Every day. And today we're so excited to have Brianna here as our guest, Brianna Mason. Ah, what a delight. We've never done a Zoom interview on our podcast before, so this is really exciting for
Our
us.
first.
Yeah. So, Brianna, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you guys.
Where are you in the world?
I live in Washington State, the United
Okay,
States.
awesome. So not too far. So we have like some yard work going on outside that like just started like this exact moment. So we're kind of like, if you're wondering why our faces look like this, we're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the joys of life. So Brianna, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like how actually you got to be here on this podcast with us today.
So I've been running my own YouTube channel for about 6 years now. Even though most of the content has been deleted and removed from the internet completely, due to some previous issues that I had with my own personality, the way I came across on camera. And I finally decided after years of those kind of comments about my weight and my looks that I would just show what I've been doing behind the scenes for my own personal health. And somehow you guys ended up finding me on your guys' For You page, and I responded to the comment. I just happened to see it, and we started DMing, and I accepted the opportunity.
Yeah, beautiful. So why did you start your YouTube channel?
So I've been trying to get into like traditional Hollywood since I was about 7.5. I used to watch TV shows, Disney Channel, and I could literally recite the entire script front to back and perform it as if I was actually on that set. And so I decided to randomly call a talent agency because I wanted to be on Hollywood. And obviously, I was too young to even know what I was doing. So thankfully, my parents came through with $150 every single month to send me to an acting class only once a week, and went on auditions, and I got the same thing over and over again. You're too chubby, you talk too fast, you're too short, you're too this. Any excuse they have to tell me no. So inevitably, I ended up leaving and moved actually out of that town completely. Kind of started a whole new life closer to family, and kind of stumbled upon content creators, YouTubers, podcasts, and started just kind of trying to get my voice out there, seeing, hey, could I pull this off? Or am I just way over my head with this? Started with the fan video for a band I really liked at the time, and people really liked it, clicked with it. I gained 50 subscribers in like a few days, and I just kind of kept doing it and finding new inspirations.
Wow, that's really cool. That's really
Yeah,
exciting.
That's amazing.
Yeah, definitely something that we're also trying to do to get, the content to make a difference and to reach more people. But I love how you're like using like what do I do well? What can I do well? And then how can I gain traction with it? I mean, that's brilliant.
Yeah, like what resources do I have access to? That's amazing.
Yeah, and awesome for your parents giving you a budget.
Yeah, that's
So
super
cool.
cool.
I love that. So, so you're from Washington State originally?
Yes, I was born and raised in Lakewood, Washington, so a very small town between Tacoma and Seattle.
Nice.
So I kind of just predominantly grew up around the Seattle area, went to school in Lakewood, and then but like 99% of my family lives in Spokane, Washington, over the 6-hour drive away. So my mom decided in 2 weeks we were just going to up and leave and move closer to home. And her after her house, yeah, she told my stepdad, she was like, hey, I'm thinking about maybe we should move closer to family, start our own family, leave my uncle's house and kind of, move on our own. And I said, okay, how long? Just in 2 weeks. And we did it.
Oh
Got pulled
my
out of
God.
school, went homeschooled for all of middle school and high school, and kind of just never looked back.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. Does everyone in your family have like is it overweight or they have weight issues or is it just you?
I don't know my biological father. From what I've been told by my mom, he was super thin, super tall, kind of could eat anything and never gain weight. And on her side, 100% was heavier set, diabetes runs in the family, heart disease. And so everyone always jokes as I got my dad's personality and my mom's
Ah,
physicality.
yeah.
And so definitely have like her genetics when it comes to like the weight and it being more of a natural, just everybody on that side that I'm close to has a slight weight.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's something about the predisposition genetically. I know that in my family, like we can put weight on really easily, and it's much harder for us to keep it off. And some people, like you're saying, your dad, you think he was able to eat anything and stay thin. Like I always am baffled by that. I used to be a plus size model, and when we would model with straight size girls, they'd like bring in like hamburgers and French fries from the fast food restaurant. I'd be like, what's going on? Like I would start to feel angry. And like I was just like, that's not fair. Like they get to eat like total Burger King and I like, I'm having my little salad with grilled chicken. And it's like, and I'm the plus size model, It's like so anyway, it just doesn't feel fair.
I feel like so many people can relate to that, Mom.
Oh God. And if you're out there listening and you're one of the skinny minis, I mean, more power to you. Like it's
Love
just, I
you.
just, there's a struggle. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, just gonna
yeah,
say. I mean, I've learned to accept it and whatnot, but like,
it's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
it wasn't until after I had Penelope that I actually was able to kind of start to get to the body that I was hoping to have. And by that time, I was already like in my late 30s, Penelope. No, I was 30. I was 30, my late 20s. But I was overweight. My nickname was Fat, so I was overweight my whole life. I've always felt like, even though now I'm like on the slimmer side, I still feel overweight, which is kind of, you know, like body. I guess you could call that body dysmorphia, but I don't think it's that bad. But I don't know. Penelope, you know better. She's like in my mind all the time.
Well, it's funny because like after since I was 300 pounds, I was so big, and like I had this dysmorphed view of myself as I would slowly lose the weight, right? Because it's like a slow process. I would think I was still 300 pounds, and even today, losing over 100 pounds, I still think I look 300 pounds some days, even though that's like far from the truth. I just don't I'm still used to being in that body. So there's something to the science of like being in this older body and like definitely a grieving process of like you were in this massive body and now you're like not there anymore, but you still look and see the old body.
It's weird.
It's weird. It is weird. It's like a ghost.
Well, Brianna, it sounds like you say you've been, kind of your whole life like this. Like is that right?
Yeah, growing up like really, really young, I was pretty average size for a kid. Um, it wasn't until I was about 7 that I started noticing small differences, but my doctor always told me as long as I get taller and not bigger, it should all even itself out. So I was hoping on that and didn't watch what I ate. My mom and I would eat McDonald's, just the traditional kid stuff.
Yeah.
And when I hit 13, it's when everything just kind of all at once hit me. And
Oh.
Same thing happened to me.
yeah, and thankfully it never affected my schooling. Like I never got bullied very, very young. I was able to get in the right cliques and definitely ended up doing drugs at a very young age to fit in and to kind of be protected from bullies.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I went homeschooled until high school that I gained most of my weight. I finally kind of said I don't care anymore.
I feel like
And
I did the same thing actually. Like freshman and sophomore year, I was like, I just went all in. I was like, I'm gonna eat all the junk food and it doesn't matter. And then COVID happened and then I went homeschooled. But I was very depressed and anxious back then.
Yeah, you were really anxious. But it sounds like you've really come to terms, like you feel good about yourself. I mean, it's my sense of you. It's just that you're okay with who you are and how you are.
yeah, I've definitely been diagnosed with like 3 different EDs over my life. And most of them I don't agree with until like recently. Then I realized how bad it had gotten. As a kid, I didn't show emotions. I was a very mute child, despite me trying to get into Hollywood all the time.
Mm.
And so at school, at home, I wouldn't express feelings. I wouldn't talk. And I ended up just eating all the time. And then as a teenager, I didn't really want to talk to people. I didn't really want to deal with social interactions. I wanted to just kind of hide in a shell, live in my room, and ended up kind of doing YouTube, which is basically a stay-at-home job anyways, a lot of editing, a lot of hours on the computer. So even more weight would just kind of ensue into what I would end up eating because it's convenient to order McDonald's when you're so busy working on something else.
Yeah,
So
for
yeah,
sure.
when I was 16 to 18 is when I went from like high hundreds, maybe even 200s, up to almost 400. And that's when all of it really hit me at once. I got a fast food addiction. I was drinking Red Bull, like 2 Red Bulls every day. I was running off of caffeine and junk food. And I kind of said, I don't care. Like, I'm okay if no one wants to date me. I'm okay if no one wants to be friends with me. I find that I'm an only child. I have no siblings. I have no step siblings. So I've always been kind of by myself. All my cousins are older and have kids. So I was totally okay with hiding behind weight if that's what it took. It wasn't until recently that I was like, I'm not okay with this.
Brianna, that's a really incredible story. That's just, I mean, I really like, I'm sensing the gravity of it. And I just appreciate you sharing it. And that's really, because I know that there are people listening who can relate. There are a
Yeah, and
lot of us
sad,
out there.
yeah, sadly with the internet, and I've talked about it like in the past, everyone thinks I'm lying or I want attention. And I'm like, no, I know my angles. I know how to make myself look semi decent. I know how to put on makeup. I know how to kind of, put the smile on and be like, oh yeah, it's fine. I'm totally cool with being who I am. And I'll do fashion videos. I have videos on my channel where you can full on see how big I am, and I'm showing people how to dress and how to feel comfortable and not be afraid to wear Spanx if they're in that process of losing weight. But I've never said like, oh yeah, being fat is what it's all about. It's like, no, there
Mhm.
are more cons to being heavy than there are pros. But while you're
Yeah.
in this journey, this process, be okay with who you are.
Yeah. So like so recently, like, so what, so you said you didn't, what did you do about it? Like, how did you take action?
So I have been seeing a therapist since I was probably 15, and was diagnosed with anxiety and all of the traditional mental health issues that were obviously present. Uh, and kind of finding out that some of my eating habits were also kind of a sign of maybe of self harm that I wasn't even aware of.
Mm.
And I was able to kind of work through all of that. Was diagnosed with a hoarding problem, which explained like why my room was always super messy and the clutter that I kind of surrounded myself with. So breaking all of those down, and finally getting into a position where I'm comfortable showing my room on the internet. I'm comfortable just not thinking about those kind of moments in my life and ignoring the voices in your head for a hot second. I was able to realize that like I'm not comfortable with myself. I know that sure I can have my personality, I can be funny, I can make friends, but I don't like the fact that I have to shop in a 5X or a 2X. I don't like the fact that most stores don't carry what you need. Most people don't look at you the same way because you're bigger. They judge everything you eat. And I became to the point where I wouldn't go out for dinner with my parents. My family wanted to go out for a family dinner. I'd say, can we bring it home?
Yeah.
And my mom would ask, why? Because she's heavier set and she doesn't care. I'm like, because if I order a salad, they're gonna think, oh, at least you're trying. If I order a burger, they're gonna be like, do you really need that? You're big.
Yeah. No,
So
exactly. That's how I
I
was.
know
Yeah.
exactly how you
Wow.
feel.
I
That
really
is
get
so
that.
relatable.
Yeah, I really
yeah,
get that. And when I was growing up, it was the same way. You such scrutiny. You're like under this microscope, and people say that to you, like, "Do you need that?"
And it's like the elephant in the room, like quite literally and figuratively, right? Because like for me at least, like when I would go into rooms with people, like they wouldn't say anything at all. They wouldn't say you're fat or you're small. They just wouldn't say anything at all. Sometimes at
Of
school
course
they
not. They don't know
bullied
what to
me,
say.
but I just think that's interesting, right? Because when you see an anorexic person, usually people are like, "Oh, like do you need help? Like are you okay? Like do you like you need something to eat?" But when you're obese, no one says anything. It's like they're just as bad. One isn't worse than the other. They're
Yeah.
both like slow suicides in a way.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also like when you're 400 pounds or so, like, just like moving around is challenging.
Yeah.
Just literally getting in and out of the car, getting in and out of bed, even off the toilet. I mean, it's just my mom was morbidly obese, and Brianna, it was actually one of her causes of death. And it's really like what you're describing is like very familiar to me,
Yeah.
very like shockingly familiar. And I'm like, wait, why is this so familiar? And I'm like, oh yeah, my mom who died unfortunately at 59.
I never got to meet her.
I know it's really sad. She died a few months after Penelope was born, but
Yeah.
so good for you for having the courage to look at yourself really kindly and honestly, to take steps and just hey, I want to turn this around. It sounds like that's what I'm hearing at least.
and my therapist was really great because I opened up to her, and I haven't even realized this on the internet actually, because I don't want people to think, oh, you're just trying to get the attention. And it's like, no, I actually came to a point where I wasn't eating. I was eating probably once a week, and 9 times out of 10, it was McDonald's, fast food. I'm like, well, if I only eat once, then technically it doesn't matter what I eat, as long as I'm burning that out of me. And my mom, she's always, because my mom's diabetic, and so I watched her deal with the ups and downs of weight and taking insulin and not having the dependency of her body. I watched my stepdad go through it. I lost my both of my grandparents very recently. We just celebrated their year passing because they both got cancer and heart problems. They were heavier set. So it all kind of was always tied into my family. I told my therapist, I don't, because they asked me, why are you not eating? Why is your logbook only showing one meal a week? Why do I only see a cheeseburger on a Tuesday? Like, what's going on? And I said, because I don't deserve to eat. I had a chance to eat food and to use it correctly and to gain the nutrition from it. And here I am at almost 300 pounds. I don't deserve to eat anymore. This is what it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they were like, no, that's not how this works. And so it was a whole like transition. I think since, gosh, end of last year all the way through, it was just a process of getting past the mental hurdle that no, you can eat, just you need to eat the right things at the right time. And I actually stopped becoming nocturnal. I used to be up all hours of the night,
Good for you.
eating at 4 in the morning with my friends. And I finally just said, no, I'm going to bed. I'm getting up at 5 a.m. I'm going to go to workouts. I'm going to do breakfast correctly. And I finally realized how uncomfortable I was eating fast food, that now it's only during like special events. So during my
Oh,
birthday, I went out with my mom, but I still eat like a vegetarian food. I was like
Oh,
trying to avoid as much as possible.
my God, you're like making me cry. I mean, like,
yeah, that's such a beautiful
it's
story.
so powerful because
Yeah.
we really relate to that, like only eating once a week or like
Yeah.
starving ourselves
Like
because
I
we
don't
feel like we
deserve to
deserve
eat
it.
this week
Yeah.
because like I really get like I don't deserve to eat. Like I
Yeah.
really understand that deeply. So that's
It's really
yeah.
powerful and good for you. Like sleep is such a big deal. We talk about sleep all the time, Brianna.
Me too.
We're like sleep Nazis. I mean, we're not Nazis clearly, but like, like we know we are really into sleep because it's like so important. Like you're saying, like if you're nocturnal and you're listening to this, like really please consider going to bed earlier and waking up earlier. I know it sounds like a silly thing, but it makes a huge
It
difference.
really does. It really, really does.
I know I'm laughing because it's like so absurdly simple.
It is.
But I love how you said that, like it's the mental hurdle. It sounds like your story with food is that you were using it to cope with your emotions, to stuff your feelings down because like verbally articulating wasn't like something you felt good or comfortable about.
Yeah.
So you ate
Yeah,
your feelings.
I'm very close to my mom. My mom and I are basically best friends, especially now that I'm 22. We just celebrated my birthday a few days ago.
Oh, happy
So
birthday.
Birthday.
thank you. So I was like, she's known me for 22 years and she knows me inside and out. She's been through every day, every night. And so I was always scared I don't want to hurt her feelings, or I don't want her to feel like she was a bad mom because of my own emotions. Because, oh, I don't feel like I deserve to be around, or it'd be easier if I had just disappeared, or she would never had me. Like, if she didn't have me, then I wouldn't be the burden. I wouldn't be the problem. I wouldn't be the elephant in the room. And she could just live her life. And so I just kind of was like, no, I won't bother her. I can deal with it myself. But I didn't realize that my coping mechanism was just ordering food or eating something in my room at like 2 in the morning because I had a weird thought, or I didn't realize that's what I was going to.
Yeah. I mean, like when you, and this is kind of a strange question, but let me know if you understand it. Like, so, like, do you feel like you're in your body? Like, can you feel you are in your body?
Sometimes, yeah.
So yeah, it's a kind of a weird question, right? And so yeah, so thanks for meeting me there because like I know that for me the longest time I wasn't in my body. It was like as
Mhm.
if I was like pretending that like I don't know, yeah, I was here, right? We're here. I can feel that you're,
Yes.
we're touching, but at the same time like I just kind of like left my body. You called it like disassociating.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that. I'm not really into like labeling myself with psychological terminology, which
Yeah,
which
I'm
is
not
very
into
popular
that.
these days. But
I know, I'm like, that's such a weird movement. Like, I feel like I have OCD because I don't like bugs. It's like, come on, be more realistic.
right, but I think that like a lot of people who have weight issues or even body image issues, regardless of your weight, like we're not really in our bodies all the time because it's kind of painful to be in our bodies and feel all the feelings. So like one mechanism is to eat, and then another is also to leave and like not actually feel like you're in your skin and in
Mhm.
your body. Do you know what I mean? Do you feel that too, Penelope?
I used to not feel like I was in my body. Like I used to not be able to feel my body, like my brain and like just like what I needed. Like being able to know like what I needed in a day, like how much movement or how much vegetables or how much, oh, I feel like I really need broccoli today. Like I just wasn't able to attune into those systems in my body
Yeah.
that I am now able to. Now I can actually feel like, oh, I feel really light today, but when I was heavy, I couldn't feel that lightness.
I think I just overwhelming. I don't know. How about for you? What's it like for you to be in your body?
I've come to terms with it more and more as I've gotten older. For the longest time, which is why a lot of my content on YouTube has been deleted, is I put on a mask and I would lie because I thought I'm not physically the person people want to watch. I am not the skinny girl who can do all the dances and who can do everything that she needs to do. So I would kind of create a version of myself who I wish I was, and I'd separate it from who I actually am sitting here. And so when people finally started realizing how fake all that was, I got a lot of hate. And people were like, I'm going to leave the channel. So that's why I deleted actually a lot of my content, because I stopped putting on this mask and trying to be this person that I wish I was. I wish I would have been at that point, and started kind of coming into myself and matching the personalities and realizing who I was. And it's those moments that you sit with yourself and you really actually just listen and like, who am I? What am I doing? Is this where I'm supposed to be? I realized I was okay in everything besides who I actually was.
Oh, wow. That's really big. And what a beautiful like journey that you've actually shown, like, on YouTube, even though the channel isn't there anymore, you said, but like that's incredible. I mean, like talk about a description of what I'm experiencing that's so 3D. That's so real.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
I have to ask you, Brianna, I have to ask you, what are your thoughts on the body positivity movement and how have they impacted you on your journey?
Hmm.
So I actually have very mixed emotions because I've talked to one of my friends who's also heavier set, and she's done some amazing work to lose the weight. She actually looks incredible now. Uh, And so her and I have had this conversation 100 times. I think that there is elements of that whole movement that were positive. I think encourage people to have that self love for themselves is absolutely needed. They should love who they are no matter where they are and who they are. But I think that saying that being heavy or being big or being overweight is good or okay or healthy or should be a goal that we achieve to be quote unquote brave, that's when the line got crossed. Sure, you can love yourself and you should not disrespect somebody because of how they choose to live. I'll never disrespect somebody in a wheelchair who's bigger than me. I'm not going to sit there and point my finger and laugh at them or judge what they buy or how they shop. But I'm also not going to say, oh, yeah, they're the pinnacle of health and they're what I should strive to look like. So I think that's where that line kind of got crossed.
Yeah.
That
I
Yeah.
agree. 100% agree. Although I do think that self-love and loving yourself has been really blown up nowadays where like loving yourself means like eating junk food and like accepting and eating any foods and that all foods are good, which I just personally from personal experience and literally just education, food education, is just not true. So I think the whole idea of like loving yourself in that way is like I believe that loving yourself means like yes, accepting where you are and then also acknowledging that there are changes that need to be made and that maybe if you are overweight that you're not at a healthy point. Like you can love yourself and also know, hey, the best way to love myself is to start exercising and eating healthy and really fixing those internal problems I have because that's true self love, right? That's taking care of yourself and your body, the vehicle that moves you through life.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we all negotiate with our health
Yeah.
and our taste buds.
Yeah.
We all try to get away with stuff, like speeding or food. Like we were
Drugs.
having a conversation about this the other day. Like, I don't do drugs.
No, I
I
know.
don't know.
I know. I was like, wait, that one just went over my head. Some people negotiate with drugs. Like, how many joints can I smoke in a day? Like, some people
Oh,
do
yeah, some
that.
people do that.
Yeah,
Sure,
yeah.
sure. I think everyone goes through phases, but yeah, yeah. No, I don't want to like be negative, but yeah. No, but I mean, this is real though. The negotiating thing is real. Like, how many pieces of bread can I have? Or how much exercise do I need to do so I can have this extra piece of bread? Like, we're always negotiating. Like, I used to do this diet when I was a kid. My first Weight Watchers meeting was at age 5. And yeah, I mean, my mom was an Overeaters Anonymous, and like the 12-step program was on the kitchen table. So like this food compulsion thing,
You get
like
it.
the hoarding, like that, like buying 5 of anything, whatever. Like it's just like that is part of it, right? That's why fasting, it doesn't work either, because it's just like more of it, and getting to the root like you're doing with your therapist, it sounds like, is really the long-term forever solution, is really getting to the root of it, because we're going to negotiate with ourselves. I know we were talking about the other day, like sometimes we're like, well, how many calories do I have to have and how many calories do I have to burn? And I'm like, it's just not that simple. I
Yeah.
mean, it is, and it's also not,
Yeah.
like you experienced when you were only eating one day a week. It's like the weight probably wasn't coming off because your body was like, oh no, she's starving me.
Yeah, I
Mm.
gained more weight at that time.
Shocking.
I totally relate to you. Like I gained more weight when I did that. Like it's so funny.
Well, it's just so tragic, and also so great that both of you, all of us, not just you two, like me too, like we're all on the path of just trying every day a
And
little
I
bit.
love how honest we are about the truth around being overweight and how it is harder to move around and how it is uncomfortable and you're not able to function as well as people who aren't overweight. And I think just acknowledging that truth is really important nowadays because that truth is like being covered with a blanket. Like, oh no, that's not true. Being big is beautiful, being big is healthy. There's nothing wrong with being big. And
Right.
actually, but now it's looked at losing weight is now a negative thing in society. If you're losing weight, you have a bad relationship with your body. And if you exercise for any other reason than to have fun, you are also doing an unhealthy thing.
That's ridiculous.
Like, right? Isn't that crazy? Have you seen that too, Brianna?
It definitely came off of TikTok.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Wow.
And they're not
Some of the biggest,
trolls.
mm-mm. Some of the biggest TikTok creators actually are the ones that are promoting it the hardest. There's
I know that's
a
what's so scary.
that's one of the creators I used to follow on TikTok. Her name was Samara. She just came out with a popular song, and she promotes being big as it's okay and it's sexy, and people look for that. And there's such a thing as being healthy and fat at the same time. And her biggest song is all about being a plus size model, which cool, yeah, that can be absolutely amazing. And the fact that it's even an option for a lot of people is cool, but we can't also just sit there and say that, oh yeah, she is the pinnacle of health. She's
Exactly.
brave
And they do the
wearing her.
same thing with Lizzo. They do the same thing
Mhm.
with Lizzo. They're like, Lizzo's beautiful, Lizzo's healthy. Just because Lizzo's vegan doesn't mean she's healthy.
No, no, you can be so unhealthy as a vegan.
Yeah, I mean, you see the pizzas and things she eats, and she's so. I think when you see like fat people who are like, oh, what I eat in the fat person as a fat person who's not trying to lose weight, it's like, why are we seeing this? This is when I was 300 pounds. That made me be like, oh, I should make a video like that. Oh, I mean, I can be fat too. Like it was like my little support buddy to keep enabling me to gain more weight. I don't know. Like, did you have anything like that?
Oh yeah, I followed a bunch of people who did what I eat in a days, and I mean that's just trending on YouTube in general. And so I at a point like I just didn't care. I even got to the point where I started in my own head thinking that I was skinny because I wanted to be skinny. So I'm like, well, maybe if I just manifest my way into it,
Oh my God, that's another thing. Yeah.
if I just think about it and I just try so hard to do it, maybe people will believe me. If I just know how to make myself look skinny, I can say what I want and no one's going to know the difference. Just don't show up below a certain point. And I just ended up eating more junk food and actually ended up gaining a really bad addiction to junk food where I actually wouldn't eat home cooked meals. My
I
my
do the
little
same thing. I wouldn't even sit down at the dinner table with my mom.
And she's like, your food tastes disgusting. I'm like, really?
She by the way, she was on Master Chef,
I
so her
love.
food is nothing near gross. But I literally wouldn't eat at dinner table.
Well, the taste buds get altered, and the fast food addiction is real. It literally is designed to hijack your brain and your gut microbiome and make you want more. And so, it's a good business concept. I totally get that, but at what cost? Like it's super cheap to buy, but it's also really expensive in terms of what it costs you and how to get yourself and your health back afterwards, which I'm sure was a journey for you to put down the fast food and then deal with a few days or even a few weeks that it might have taken to get your taste buds back. Did that happen to you?
what actually happened is that we ended up moving away from all fast food places. So I currently live in the country. I'm surrounded by cattle, horses, chickens, and none of the farmers around me slaughter their animals for food. They actually are doing a huge thing against it. They're buying any animal they can to prevent it being slaughtered, which I was going back and forth on whether that was a positive thing. Uh, but I love it because I'm surrounded by animals all the time. And
Oh,
so out here, there is no Uber, there's no DoorDash, there's none of that. The nearest fast food restaurant is 45 minutes away. And so essentially, we moved on to the country with a bunch of people who basically kind of grow their own food, cook all from scratch. And it was kind of either you eat what's here or you have no food. Because even like the local grocery store doesn't sell like traditional store bought products. He gets it from the local farmers and then tries to produce it in a way that he can sell them. And they're very inexpensive when you think about like traditional like Walmart, Safeway. Uh,
Yeah,
so
for
I
sure. So
love
you've been forced to like learn how to make food that you love then, or what are you doing with food?
my so last year, around this time actually of last year, we got kicked out of our old house. Our landlord wanted to sell the house by the end of summer, so we were told we have so many days to get out. And so thankfully my parents were able to buy a house and were able to do it. But my therapist at that same exact time was telling my family, like, Brianna is going to kill herself. And I can't imagine hearing that as a parent. My After college, after I graduated from college, I lost all of my social friends. I lost what my reason was to get up every day. I was doing YouTube, but at the time I was in a really weird point with YouTube where I was deleting a lot of content. I was figuring out if I even wanted to continue doing YouTube. And I knew that I was going to be moving to the country. I knew that I was going to be moving away from family, friends, and any normality that I had in that old room, that old kind of just like your little habitat of everything I owned for 7 years. So my therapist was like, this world that she's living in and this mindset that she's in, she's going to end herself if she doesn't get out. And this is going to take so much energy. This is going to take a lot of tears. I cried a lot of nights wanting my room back because it was all in boxes on the truck. Headed to the house. And so moving out here the first month, I think I was in tears 9 times out of 10 because I lost all safety in my room with my snacks. I had a fridge in there. Like I had every access to just keep eating and keep everything. My friends were okay with it because they could come over at any time and they could have a snack, and everything was just so, it seemed perfect in my eyes. So my therapist told my mom, like, you guys need to figure out where she needs to be because I don't want to hear in the next month that she's ended her life, whether it's from her weight or from something else that she tries, because her anxiety took control. And so moving out to the country with a bunch of animals and people out here who are just, everyone knows everybody. It's like the that perfect circle where your neighbors know everything and it's impossible to get away with anything around here. Everyone is just in each other's lives, and it's just so natural that it re-sparked the country and the animals and the people and just the whole energy out here. The festivals we have going on all the time. It was just I found that social click again, and I started using art and painting and writing, and I stopped grabbing fast food. I stopped grabbing fries. I stopped wanting sodas and Red Bulls. I'm still working on the whole caffeine problem in itself. I definitely run off of caffeine more times than I should. Um, but I mean, at the end of the day, I've made a lot of progress since my heaviest weight, which was 400. I'm now into the 200s, and I'm still losing. But
Amazing. Like
Oh
so amazing. Wow. I mean, whoa.
that's amazing.
I'm
Wow.
like the high 200s, and I'm working towards getting lower and lower. Right now, we're trying to get to 150 just to see how I feel at that point, and then kind of go from there with my age, my height. But yeah, so I've made a lot of progress in like 2-3 years. But I think in the past year alone, just living in this country, living in this town, and living with the people I live around, and my parents just supporting me 100%. Mom has stayed up hours at night through like really bad attacks. So when I just like, I don't deserve this, I don't, and just being there and just being like, no, this is how this look at it this way, and finding healthier alternatives. I've
Wow.
introduced my
Yeah.
parents to like plant-based items, and they didn't think they were gonna like it. Mom said I can never eat anything but red meat, and now we literally only eat like turkey burgers and veggie burgers. And
That's
That's
amazing.
amazing.
My gosh, like my heart is
I
so
know.
full.
I'm like so happy to hear this.
Oh my gosh. All right, so let's talk food. You want to talk about food? I love talking about
I
food.
love talking about
I'm like such a foodie.
food.
I mean, like I lived in a countryside in Europe for like most of your early years and like for 10 years of my life. and they didn't have any food prepackaged. So I had to learn how to make everything from scratch. And I was getting my bachelor's, my master's degree in nutrition at the time. And her dad used to joke, like, I should build your bedroom in the kitchen because you're always in the kitchen, because I was like, I was experimenting. Like I was and still not willing to sacrifice flavor for health. Like it has to taste amazing and it has to be healthy, like, or else it doesn't go on the table, right?
Yep, it's true.
It's like, I mean, I guess if someone brought food over, I wouldn't be rude and like say, like, you can't put this food on the table. But I'm just saying, like, if I'm making it. So, yeah. So, anyways, I want to talk about food. What kind of food do you love?
So lately I've been eating a lot of fruit since it seems to be what people are harvesting right now, a lot of. Uh, I,
Yeah.
recently, I recently learned how they make bread from just the wheat in the ground. So that was really cool. My aunt and my grandfather both were professional bakers and both have really big degrees and do freelance work before he passed away. And my aunt still does it to this day. She'll decorate anybody's cake for their birthday or wedding. So I know how to make a lot of pastries completely from scratch. So I love making healthier alternative junk food. So I told my parents, yeah, we're going to have ice cream tonight or we're going to have cookies tonight. And they taste completely the same, but they are like way more healthy and used by actual items that are actually needed in the body. And uh, so yeah, I eat a lot of fruits. I definitely eat a lot of salads. I've grown to like salads.
Yeah. It took time, right? It took you a lot of
Took me
time
a
to
long
like
time to
salad.
like salads. I had to nail the crunch.
And the
That was
flavor,
and
like
the
you got to have the
flavor.
right texture, the right flavors, the right
The right
amount of
cut,
dressing,
the
the right,
cut method.
yeah, the different slicing methods. Yeah, like it's true. Like chopped onions don't taste as good as shaved onions in some salads. And yeah,
Vice versa.
yeah, like we did roasted mushrooms today in our salad.
So
That was really good. And then we used this really awesome creamy dressing made out of pine nuts and lemon juice. It's actually amazing. It's just like sour cream.
it literally does.
It's super high calorie, but like it really goes a long way.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really good. You can use it as a dip, or you can use it as sour cream or a salad dressing. That was really good.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to make a lot of pastries. Like I tried to make the zucchini bread this morning. It was kind of a fail.
I'm the baker in the fam.
I think
I'm
you're
the
the
healthy
baker.
baker. Brianna, I have to tell you, I just made this amazing chickpea carrot cake,
I gotta
and it's
try.
made of chickpea flour, applesauce, and like maybe like 1/4 cup of cranberries and monk fruit sweetener, and that's literally it. And there's like some almond milk and some like
Can we make
seasoning.
that later?
Maybe, yeah, but it's really good.
wanna try
I will
it.
share the recipe with you if you want it, but it's amazing. And I also have a video of how I made it and everything like on our Facebook group, which is really exciting.
Thank you for that. I didn't watch it yet.
So, yeah, it's very cute, but it's really good and it's just made of chickpea flour, right? Like you don't have to sugar or inflammatory, ingredients, like just chickpea flour. But that might be hard to find where you are.
I know. Yeah, we have to special order it where we are anyway.
Yeah, we have to special order it where we are too.
Yeah.
But I love chickpea flour. I
Yeah,
use chickpea flour in a lot of
chickpeas in
stuff.
general are just like magical, but you really should get them organic. Did you know that chickpeas are one of the highest glyphosate containing foods, meaning they have like a really strong pesticide on them? And like there's recent research from like the last few years kind of rating the foods and in their glyphosate load, which is the pesticide. And so chickpeas are like at the top. So like hummus, chickpeas and oats. Those are like the two
Wow, I didn't know
yeah.
that.
So like I used to think I was doing a good thing, like when I would go get oatmeal at Starbucks if I was like traveling. And I realize now like that's just like, yeah. I mean your body will clear it. It's not like the end of the world.
But all the time.
Yeah, but if it it'll start to poke holes in your large intestine apparently. And then you get like irritable bowel syndrome,
Oh
and then
my
you get like
gosh.
permeability issues, and then your body starts to have like autoimmune reactions. And yeah, so but your body will heal itself. You just have to like um just try to eat food that doesn't have glyphosate, a lot of really high levels of glyphosate. But I love this. So we're really eating a lot of fruit too. My gosh, I went to a special grocery store yesterday just to make sure to get the fruit, like the apricots and the plums and the peaches and the nectarines and the watermelon. Oh my gosh, so good.
Watermelon is delicious.
Yeah, but pastries, like proper pastries, like I'm not really that good at that stuff.
Yeah, I haven't made pastries yet, but sounds interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. You mean like the proper ones, like where you like brush it with butter and like a millefeuille or something, or like a croissant or something?
Yeah, my parents had no idea how to make it either. I was taught when I was homeschooled because I needed science class. So my aunt was like, "We're gonna cook." And so she would teach me the regular way, just how you'd make it with normal sugar and all of that. And then coming out here, I mean, a lot of their stuff is plant-based or just more healthier options because they really are trying to push the whole idea of not using certain kind of sources anymore and showing a more healthy standpoint. I do notice people out here seem to have way healthier mindsets and bodies just in general compared to what I saw in the city. And I think it's because it's like a lack of access to anything else but this.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Cool.
it's fun though. The kitchen after I'm done baking though looks like a mess.
Mine too. It's like such a disaster.
When she cooks, it's like someone vomited like kitchen appliances everywhere. Like it's a lot. I won't lie.
But I'm gonna say so I'm really into bread these days. I don't want bread to have to be a weight gaining food. And so I've been trying to find new ways. So this morning I freshly ground some millet and some quinoa, whole grains. And then I added some flax seeds and then I did a yeasted bread with just like a little bit of yeast and sea salt and a little bit of honey just to activate the yeast and some olive oil. And it smells amazing.
It smells amazing. It smells so good.
Yeah. So like I let it rise and it yeah.
And I've actually lost weight eating it, which is amazing.
Yeah, millet is an amazing food. And then 2 days ago, I sprouted buckwheat, just buckwheat. And then I put that in the food processor and I made a loaf of bread from sprouted buckwheat. So I guess I can't say I'm not a baker because I guess that's baking, isn't it?
It is.
Technically.
Yeah. I just don't want like I really want to be able to enjoy food and I want to eat food that loves me back. And it's been working out better for me. I can't say I'm never going to be a skinny mini. I shouldn't say that. No, I'm never. I don't find that my body type lets me be a skinny mini, like super skinny, but I'm like I feel like I'm within a healthy range, but I always feel like, there's still more to go.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between like being in like a healthy weight range, which I do believe there is for all people who don't believe that there's a healthy weight range. There definitely is a healthy weight range. There is science.
Yeah, like for your bones and your joints and your heart and your organs. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Of course, I know, but people nowadays would say that that's mean and rude.
No,
that's not true.
No, that's scientific and honest and real.
I'm just debunking for all the people that might watch this and say,
yeah,
it's not true.
Bring it on. If you disagree, bring it on. Let's talk about it. Cause let's get real. Like, no, we got to get real. We got to like get back to nature. Like, I love how you're telling the story about getting back to nature, Brianna. It's so powerful.
And in Europe, they do the same thing. They're back to the whole source. They're not a lot of food is processed, and most of the food is organic because they don't have all the chemicals to spray on all the food. Yeah. Not all of it, but I'm saying it's much better there. Like I literally went to Europe and I lost weight.
Eating croissants.
Like, come on, guys. Like America, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing to our
genetically modifying the wheat is what we're doing.
Like you're saying, like doing the wheat from the ground. That's a beautiful process.
Yeah, like sprouting the wheat and then blending it. That would be an amazing thing for your body. Anything sprouted is amazing for your body. Okay, so okay, so it sounds like you're on a weight loss journey already.
Yes.
And you're being fully supported by your therapist and your awesome family. I'm like so excited. I kind of want to meet your mom now.
I know. I actually do too.
Works. I probably could call her in here and she'd probably say hi.
Oh my gosh. But like to hear like her journey, like knowing that you were in such critical state, I think it would be really valuable for other moms. Because I know I was in her shoes and it was really desperate. And no one really wants to talk about it. Her therapist actually wasn't even brave enough to like say you need to do something now. They were like, oh, stop talking about food. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what? Anyway, so yeah, I think it'd be good for other people to hear that story. But do you have any questions for us? Like, just curious, like, do you want to ask us anything?
I was just kind of curious as to just looking into you guys before I did this, making sure I kind of knew who I was going to be talking with and different values and opinions. What was it like for you guys? Like, when did you guys decide to start losing your guys' weight and make those big changes? What triggered that moment of like, I'm done. I'm losing the weight.
It's a great question.
You want to go?
Sure.
Okay.
I struggled big time. I was in a wheelchair at age 7. As I mentioned to Weight Watchers meetings, starting at age 5, my nickname was Fatso. Growing up, I was severely bullied. And because I was in the wheelchair with this rare bone infection that they thought initially was leukemia, but it wasn't. I mean, I put on a lot more weight. So like I was just, it was tough. And my friends were getting popular and cheerleaders and skinny, and it was going from bad to worse for me. And I was trying to play sports, thinking that might help, right? Field hockey and lacrosse, but I really wasn't fit. I wasn't picked for the team. Summer camp was rough. And so I would always lose weight at summer camp because we walked around a lot. And my friend, and she probably doesn't even know this, her name is Erin. She was a cheerleader and she's like, let's go for a run. And I'm like, what? There's no way. So for me, it was exercise. I still, even to this day, like if I don't exercise, it's hard for me to keep my weight off.
Mhm.
And it was her really coming to me so lovingly. And she's super fit, right? She's a cheerleader. And she's like, let's go for a run. And I just remember how hard that run was. It was so, so hard. I was out of breath. I thought I was going to die. I was just like, and it was hard. And I just made a commitment to her. Like, I'm going to start running. And I think something clicked for me like, oh, this could work. Because I grew 7 inches in 1 year just after I got out of the wheelchair, which helped a lot. But then I still struggled with my weight. I mean, I became a plus size model. I was like a size 16, 18 when I got to New York. And I always struggled with my weight, even thereafter. Like, right. It wasn't until I had her 18 years ago that I really felt like I got a leg up on, getting closer to the body that I wanted, because I was always kind of thick. But it just was like layer at a time, like taking white flour and going into wheat flour, taking white sugar, going to, brown sugar, to going from the gym to doing yoga, going, and just one step at a time. And then over these years, I gave away dairy, and then I stopped eating wheat, and then I, started reduce my sugar intake, and then I started to eat less meat. And so it was just like one thing after the next in learning about nutrition and health. And then for me, it's about energy, like this energy. It's like I had so much energy. Like people don't even want to be around me sometimes because they're just like, oh my God, she's too much. And that's okay. Um, but I have a lot of energy. And like I think for me, it's like, how do I develop that? And so it's kind of gone from like, you know, like being uncomfortable and not being able to exercise and being called names and not fitting in to like, oh my gosh, now I just want to take off like into the outer space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's my thing.
Okay. My story is interesting. I think I was always a little chubby when I was little. I was like 6 years old, and I'd go to my friends' houses and I'd eat like their whole pizza. And their moms would call my mom and be like, "Is your daughter okay? Like what? She just ate like 8 slices of pizza and she's 6." Like, and their daughter would eat like one, or I'd eat their whole box of, those massive boxes of goldfish. Like I would just eat the whole thing in like one sitting. And that developed over time to become really severe, in a way where I would then, when we moved around a lot and I found food as my comfort. And she was always really, really healthy. And we only grew up in the household. There was no sugar. There was nothing bad. It was only organic, whole sprouted bread. There was like organic everything, which was great. I like now I understand why she did it. But at the time, I think it really harmed me because there was no lenience at whatsoever. It was like one treat a week, one treat a month, and then treats just disappeared as a whole. And so it was so strict and confined that I'd go to birthday parties and I couldn't have the cake. I had a bite of the cake. And I think it developed this like way of me being like, I want to eat all of it because I can't have any of it because I'm a very all or nothing kind of girl.
Yeah.
And we kept on moving. We moved so much. Then we finally moved to California, and the food here is just phenomenal. And I was 13, and then we moved into a neighborhood that had a 7-Eleven at the bottom of the hill. And like you said, at 13, I was always chubby, but then the weight really piled on. Like really like over 100 pounds I gained in like maybe a year, would you say?
Easily.
And I would just get bullied so much at school. You're just so fat. You're so ugly. And I'm also like really tall. I'm like 5'9". So I really stick out. Like I'm not just like
You look like you're 6 feet.
I look like I'm 6 feet. Yeah, I know. And so they would bully me so bad, like middle school to high school. It was just not good. And I eventually developed really bad depression and anxiety. I was in, 3 therapies a week, and it was just terrible. It was like everyone was trying to fix me, but the only one that could fix me was myself.
Yeah, panic attacks.
Panic attacks in the hallway at school. I missed 100 days of school in 8th grade. It was just miserable. And I just ate like 2 pizzas a day, and I spent the money, and I hid it from her, and I shoved the box under my bed, and I, hide the bags, and, dump the stuff at the bottom of the trash can, take the bag out, put it underneath so she wouldn't see. And, she'd be like, what are all these charges? And it's obviously my food, my disorder. And it got really bad, and then I'd start making myself throw up, and then eating, and then weighing myself, and then the next day weighing myself, eating the bad food, then throwing up, and then weighing myself again. And then I did the binging and purging where I didn't eat for 2 weeks, and I was pale, and I felt like I was going to pass out, and I was lightheaded when I woke up, and I couldn't go up the stairs, I couldn't walk up the hill. I would have a panic attack at the bottom of my hill because I lived on a pretty steep hill, and I just wouldn't walk up that hill. I was just so like disabled by my own body and mind. And it got to a really bad point where then COVID hit, and I was in like this really intense, like program for disabled people, like mentally disabled people. And
there were drug addicts in there,
and like people who went to jail, and like people who were going to commit suicide. I wasn't going to commit suicide, but I had definitely thought about it like once or twice. And COVID hit, and I had been faced the choice where I had to wake up every morning and look at myself in the mirror a lot more than I had to before. And I just woke up one day and said, I don't want to be like this anymore, and I don't want to feel like this anymore. So what's like my next step going to be? Because then I went to the doctor, and they were like, you have high triglycerides. You're going to get heart disease soon. You're going to get type 2 diabetes. Like, you are just going down like a bad path right now. And that's what my blood told me. The doctors didn't tell me. My blood told me this. And I was so scared of death at 15. Like, I was only 15 at the time.
Yeah, I remember that. You had a panic attack one night.
I was really
scared.
You
came in, and I hadn't hadn't really like hugged you in years, and like because you were like so not into it, and so it was really sweet. But I think that was that night, actually.
Yeah, I hated her. She was my enemy. And then I just decided to start 45 minutes of exercise every day at our house. And, instead of having a double cheeseburger, I'm going to eat Chipotle every day. And I can eat anything I want from Chipotle, but I'm not going to eat fast food anymore. I'm just going to eat Chipotle. And then I started making food at home. And then I did the yo-yo dieting, and that was a thing. And then I stopped.
And paleo.
I did every freaking diet there was. I did every diet. Nothing worked. But then I just decided to step it up. And that was essentially my healing. Not a Band-Aid. It was like the skin that I needed to take over, to regrow myself. And now I've kept the weight off for over a year now. I've lost over 100 pounds. I'm the happiest I could be. I don't have like issues around food anymore. Like I'm not afraid of food anymore. More so I'm educated on food. And I'm just happy to be alive every day. I'm excited about the next day, the next workout, and to inspire other people and help other people lose weight for once and for all, not for now or for tomorrow, but forever.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really passionate and excited about now from that experience.
Brianna, are you feeling like motivated and inspired to lose the rest of the weight?
Yeah, I've done every diet also. There actually was a point where where actually I went to the hospital for stomach problems. I was super, super sick, couldn't hold food down at all. And it got to the point that like my mom was like, we're going to the hospital. And so they did all the huge tests, and they said, oh, by the way, her liver looks a little bit fatty. She looks like she has an alcoholic's liver. And I was like, I've never drank alcohol. I wasn't 21. That was a big no-no in my family. You don't drink underage. And so I was, confused. And they go, well, what's your diet like? And I was honest, like McDonald's, Burger King, Jack in the Box, literally anything that's around my little circle of life and stuff. And they didn't do anything about it though. They went to my actual primary doctor, and I was like, hey, I went to the hospital recently. They said to do a checkup with you about this. And she says, I never got anything from the hospital. I had no idea you went to the hospital. And for years, they just ignored a lot of my health issues.
Wow.
I told them I've done diets, and I've gone from both extremes. I'm getting sick a lot. I'm ending up in the emergency room with stomach problems. And they always would just ignore it, being like, well, it's fine. Just take antibiotics or take this medication and you'll be fine. It'll go away.
Wow.
So finally, I stopped letting them control it. And I said, no, this is happening. I am gaining weight by thinking about food, and this is not working. I'm not happy. I'm not living life. There was a period before we moved here even that my life was wake up, grab food, lay in bed, watch videos, and go to sleep.
Very relatable. I used to do that.
And especially during COVID when I was just at home all the time, I could do school as I wanted since it was a college course. They didn't care as long as it was in by midnight. So I could get up at 10 at night and do homework real quick and then go back to sleep. So it was just a never ending, like ignoring health issues and ignoring obvious signs. Finally, I got my answer and I was able to get on medication for my thyroid. I found out that I had a huge imbalance in my entire body, and parts of my body hadn't been working for almost a year, which was causing a lot of the weight gain. And they were like, you even have some pre genetic disclosure to cancer, like stomach
Oh my
cancers,
gosh.
and
Wow.
there's extra fat where there shouldn't be fat. And like finally somebody heard what I was telling them, and I got on proper medication for it. And that was how I actually was able to help fix my mental health, because I knew that they were taking care of my physical body and like, okay, let's figure out why this is happening.
That's
Why is your thyroid not working?
yeah.
Why are you like this? Like what's going on? That finally getting the proper medication, that's when I lost a lot of that weight from 400, was that my thyroid started working again. And I was able to have a
Amazing.
metabolism that was semi reasonable to my actual age,
Hmm.
and was able to, I haven't gone to the hospital now in almost a year and a half
That's
because
amazing.
don't have the same stomach issues that I used to. But a lot of the doctors would just ignore it. Like, well, it's probably just because you're eating Jack in the Box. And I'm like, sure, yeah, it probably doesn't help at all, but like, what's causing this? Like, it can't just be
Right.
French fries. That can't be the only answer. There's something else going on. So when
Hmm.
they found that I, because of my DNA, because of my family, my grandparents, and everything, and my weight, I was basically on the way to getting potentially like stomach cancer, because there was a bunch of just imbalances going on and all the wrong things happening at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure that people listening really can relate to this.
Yeah.
Laying in bed, eating, going to sleep, and all these electronics also come to find out really also affect your thyroid. So if we're in
Mhm.
front of the computer for too many hours a day, it actually very, very strongly and adversely affects the thyroid function. If your thyroid isn't working, it's really challenging to lose weight. And to balance it is not always as easy as we think it is. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes medication works, sometimes it doesn't, or sometimes it's high and low. And so it's going to be a very complex situation. But at the root, I mean, just stopping the junk food was a huge step.
Mhm.
And yes, you moved to make that happen, but hopefully people listening are inspired by your story and by the incredible weight loss journey that you've had this last year or two. Because it takes time to get it off. I think people who want to get skinny quick with this bariatric surgery, I just don't think that that's necessarily the healthiest or best solution for
Yeah,
Hmm.
my
everybody.
doctor does not recommend it. She's always like, no, that there's more risk than reward in that. She's
I
like, let's do
agree,
it
which
naturally.
makes me think like, why do they even have it? If there's more risks, like
Well, it's a big industry. There's a lot of money.
I know, but it's like that doesn't solve the root problem, right?
No,
Like
no.
that's like it's like taking a pill for it's like taking a pill for being sad or something, which I know a lot of people do. But it's like it's not fixing the root problem of why you're sad and how to become
Right.
unsad naturally. Because when you think about it, when all these
How to become unsaid
medications,
naturally. I like that.
yeah, because when all these pills go away one day, you're left with you. That's
Yeah.
what you have. And if you can't figure it out yourself, that's a problem.
Yeah. Are you moving, Brianna? Are you doing some exercise that you love or not yet?
Yeah, well, that's kind of like actually in the background here. That's my old cheerleading uniform from when I was in like elementary school, middle school. So I actually ended up doing like gymnastics as a kid. Like I was always very active, so I was very confused how I was gaining weight. I was part of the basketball teams, so my weight gain was very like didn't make any sense because I wasn't eating a lot, but obviously it was all the wrong foods. But I was very very active as a kid.
Yeah.
So since then, I actually have gotten back into dancing, and I do intense dance workouts all the time. I found out that my body, they call it endomorph, basically meaning that my body stores a lot of fat all the time. So I've been doing a high carb, low carb combination. So confusing the body and making it burn more, even with doing less work. And then I have targeted workout sessions for like 10 minutes a day, 3 days a week, to go into an oxygen deficiency mode where the
Mm,
body's having to burn even more to regain its oxygen levels, to combat from not having any carbs in my system on certain days. So it's using the fat cells for energy, not its normal plenish, and kind of constantly doing that on top of walking. I have two dogs, of two overactive dogs who always are looking to go out and run around. I help volunteer with the local farmers and feeding the animals. Our next door neighbor has a pack of turkeys that are always going off, so I'll go over and help feed them. So yeah,
Oh,
between just like walking around my town, because there's the cars around here are very slim. It's a lot of bikers and walkers.
wow.
Uh, so yeah, I do a lot of walking. The regimented exercises that the nutritionist told me that it actually will benefit me. I do a lot of dancing. I do a lot of yoga to help tighten the skin because I don't want to have skin surgery when I lose all the weight
Right.
because that can cause even more problems and putting weight back on.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Beautiful. Amazing. I love that. So it's working out for you, the high carb, low carb, the alternate days. Great.
my birthday kind of screwed it up because we did go out and there was like ice creams and cakes and stuff like that, and I was kind of like I don't know what to do. I was talking to the my therapist and I'm like I don't know what to do. Like, do I just kind of cancel my birthday essentially and not eat what everyone else is eating, or how do I manage that so that I can have the high carb day, but then go back into it without basically reversing everything I just did? And he was just like, I want you to do a challenge. Thursday, go have fun, pretend like the diet doesn't even exist. But on Friday, I want you to have zero carbs, no carb
Okay.
intake at all. And I was like, okay. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I was like, that's not possible. And well, I did it. I actually
Amazing.
I was able to not have any carbs over the course of the weekend and minimize completely what I had and get back onto a normal schedule today. And
Amazing. I love it. Good for
yeah,
you. Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
interesting.
And I do want to, may I also make a recommendation about the skin? Okay, so essential fatty acids are really, really helpful. So when you make sure that you eat fats, when you do eat fats that are extremely healthy, meaning like first cold pressed extra virgin oils like that are organic if you can, and really steering away from like peanut oil, canola oil, soy oil, corn oil, or any highly
Palm
processed oil. Yeah,
yeah, oil.
palm oil. Yeah, you can get some good palm oils, but they're very hard to find and expensive. But yeah, but like really, if you're going to eat oil, making sure it's like first cold pressed, extra virgin, whatever they are, sesame oils, olive oils, avocado oils, whatever they are, and making sure you have like some like omega-3 fatty acids, and those are harder to get in our diet, like in walnuts or hemp seeds, for example, or pumpkin seeds, or even a supplement. If or if you eat meat, you could use sardines. That's a very inexpensive and effective way of getting the omega-3 fatty acids, but it really makes a difference for your skin. um, like, for example, everybody in my family got terrible stretch marks during their pregnancies, and I got none. And it was a combination of using the body butter that I used for my skin, but I think also the fats that I was eating because I was hyper vigilant.
And I actually don't have any loose skin, despite the fact that I was like 100. I lost like over 100 pounds. I don't have any loose skin anywhere
Why do you think that is?
because of the fats. I was eating good fats, good quality fats,
Mm.
and I wasn't eating any pesticides. I really wasn't eating a lot. Like when I lost the weight between that process, I didn't eat a lot of sunflower oil because you just didn't have it in the
Yeah, I
house
don't have any bad fats in the house. Yeah.
like at all. So I'm very grateful for you for that. But also anyone watching, that's something really important because a lot of people actually, most people are always like, you don't have any loose skin. Like, how come you have no loose skin?
Yeah, I mean, like I do dry brushing on the skin. I do oil rubs every day. That might be like extreme, but
That is extreme.
no, but it really makes a difference for your skin elasticity. I mean, I'm clearly much older than the two of you, but it really makes a difference. And I know my mom was an Overeaters Anonymous, and she gained and lost hundreds of pounds over my lifetime. And a lot of her friends were Weight Watchers lecturers who had lost 400 pounds and things. So skin was the big issue growing up in this scene or situation with my family. And so I just it's possible, I think, because many of them had surgeries to remove the skin, which is pretty painful and somewhat dangerous. So if you can, as you're losing the weight, like you're doing really slowly, you're exercising, which is amazing. If you like make sure that the internal fats are really high quality and caliber, and that the external like massage and moisturization is there, then you'll really set yourself up for success.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you for letting me share that with you.
I
I know.
definitely looked to different stuff because one of my aunts actually lost a bunch of weight. She was over 600 pounds and she went down to her like goal weight of like 165. She
Oh
did it.
my
Took her a long time, but she got there. But then afterwards, I saw her fall into a depression because she had all of that skin.
Yeah.
Because she was older and she didn't know exactly how to tighten her skin. And so I just watched her fall into a depression and almost gain all of it back. Like she thought, well, what's the point? I could just gain it back and at least I'd fit in my body again. And
Yeah.
I remembered that journey of her having to get surgery and she gained a little bit of weight because she was in recovery. So I watched that happen and I'm like, is it worth it? Like that surgery almost seemed like it did worse for her. Now she seems okay and happy and she's learned more. But I just watched her go through that and we all were so happy for her. She did this huge milestone and
People don't
she
realize the skin is such a big issue. I
Such a
remember all
big
my mom's
issue.
friends were like complaining about their skin. I'm like, what's the beef with the skin? I didn't understand it as a kid.
It's one of my biggest reminders whenever I'm having a moment where I think I'm big. It's like the one thing I know I'll never want to do again is like get to that point because I don't want to deal with that skin. I don't want to deal because that's still my skin. Your skin goes through things in life.
I know.
And so when you like re-go through that a lot, it's like imagine what how your insides feel.
Oh, I know.
So I think
Yeah,
about that. I
for
think
sure.
about that heavily.
And there's also we have this cupping machine as well.
Oh,
The
yeah.
cupping machine.
Well, it sounds like you love Hollywood. It sounds like she loves Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Still?
yes,
Oh,
I want to do something in Hollywood one day.
because I tried to get her to come in person. I was like, could you drive here? And she's like, well, that would take 4 days. And I was like, okay, never mind. But wait, yeah. But it would be fun if you came down one day, and it would be really fun to show her the cupping machine and things like
Oh
that.
yeah, we've got all kinds of devices. Red light, that's good for skin too. Infrared, yeah, we have a lot of I'm really into skin. Just this like I love it.
There you are.
It's a big deal. You lose a lot of your skin cells every day, and we detox through the skin, of course. And it's a really important detoxification pathway so that we can stay cancer free.
Yeah.
That's at least my understanding of cancer is, keep a check on your toxic load. But
Mm.
I'm like totally like I
A
geek
geek.
out. Yeah,
You
I'm
geek out.
totally a
You
geek
totally.
when it comes to health stuff.
Yeah, and also to drive over that direction, I'd have my mom or my dad take me because I don't have my license yet. I'm still in school for it, and it's being slow because I don't have my driving hours, and my parents don't trust me to have their car while I'm
It'll
learning
happen
still.
when it's time.
It'll happen.
Yeah, it'll happen whenever you feel
It'll
ready.
happen.
It'll just happen.
That's
So
what happened to
Yes,
me. I didn't get my license till 18, so
yeah,
it took me a long time.
yeah.
And I never got my permit. It was a long, long time.
It was a big journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Brianna, I'm so grateful that we had this time with
Yeah,
you.
me too.
I had no idea how deep and rich and profound your story was going to be. And I just feel so honored that you spent this time with us. And I really hope that this conversation is an inspiration to the people listening because it's
mhm,
possible. It's really possible. Like you're just so clear and honest. And I think that we're all really lucky because we come from moms that really loved us. And that's a
mhm.
big leg up in this world.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
I'm going to acknowledge the moms because however dysfunctional we are, it's love really conquers.
It does.
Yeah.
I'm
Um,
helping my cousin out too with his weight journey.
yeah.
Yeah, he's 12 and he's gained a lot of weight, and I think it comes from like just his family and what he eats. He can eat 40 nuggets no problem, and he saw me going through stuff, and he's getting bullied now in school, and he's not going to school because he doesn't feel like he belongs there. And so he's come to me because he wants to be a creator on YouTube. He wants to do gaming. And so he came to me like, what do I need to do? How do I do this? And I was talking to him about like dealing with bullies, but also realizing why they're bullying him
Mhm.
and being honest with him and saying, yeah, you're a great kid. You're a great kid and you're super sweet. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're at your peak health for your age.
Yeah.
You are weighing what you should be weighing at my age, not at your age.
Right.
And
Right.
he said, here's some sources for you to help you. And, hopefully can make his younger sister maybe not head down the same path that he did. And since I last saw him, according to his mother, he's lost almost like 50 pounds.
Yeah, it
Wow.
feels good to be able to
Brianna.
make that difference.
Wow.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Do you have
There,
anything you
there.
want to
Thank
say
you,
in
my mom.
closing? Aw.
Oh,
You can come
yeah.
say hi.
Oh, yeah, let's see.
No, you're good. You can come say hi. I was talking about you. disappointed how you supported me through this. This is my mom.
Hi, mom.
Oh,
She came on cue. I love
yeah,
that.
you
We're just
are
like giving we're
cute.
giving cred to the moms that love the daughters.
What about you?
Sweet.
I was just happy how you supported me when I was going through like the move and now finally losing weight. And I'll support you the rest of your life. That's just what I do. That's what
Oh,
moms do.
Oh,
that's what moms do.
that's what moms do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
so sweet.
She thought maybe I was done, so she came in to check on me.
Oh, that's so
Oh, so
sweet.
sweet.
Anything you want to say in closing before Brianna gives her
I'm
last
just
words
so
of wisdom?
grateful, Brianna, that you came on and were able to share your story comfortably and just that you're able to speak the truth. Like, the truth wins always. And I'm just so grateful to have another voice in this world that's truly inspiring people and telling them the truth about health and that what being healthy really means and that it's okay to use the word health. It's okay to be honest with people and it's okay to want to inspire and help people become the best version of themselves because that's all we want. We just want people to be happy, healthy people. And I'm just so grateful for this connection, this meeting. I feel like we will definitely connect again.
Yeah.
And I'm just so grateful that you came on. And I'll link Brianna's socials down below, and so that you can check her out too.
Brianna, any last words of wisdom before we close today?
I would say honestly, for anyone who wants to go on the journey of losing weight, but you are worried that people are gonna judge you because it's solely based off of looks. It's all about how pretty can I be. Something that I came to terms with, it's not about being pretty. It's not about looks. At the end of the day, it's how do you feel in your own body. Just like sit with yourself for a few seconds and ask yourself, like, where am I going? What am I doing? And what can I change? Where do I want to be? I actually ended up finding an old diary of mine from when I was like 13, 14 years old, and a list of things I wanted to accomplish by the age of 18. And I realized I only accomplished two of the things on the list. And that hit me hard of like, I'm not at the weight I thought I was going to be. I'm not doing my dream job because I'm scared of my weight, and I don't do certain things. I don't reach out to people because I don't want them to think I'm using them for views or for influence because I'm not the super hot person that has all this. And so just sit with yourself for a few seconds and just kind of figure out where you are and where you want to go, because that's going to set a very clear path of what works best for you. And just because a weight loss journey worked for us doesn't mean it always is going to work for everybody else. It's about just finding that one piece of thing that works. One thing I always tell my cousins, my mom, anybody who ever kind of like feels sad, it's like if you try and fail, then you just succeeded at trying.
Hmm.
That's right.
I love that.
That's beautiful.
I love that. Yeah, we've been really empowered about this whole like you can't. When people say you can't, we're like, have you tried? You can.
You can, and I don't think we're meant to do it alone. I really believe that we need each other.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why in our Step It Up program, the community aspect is so important because, not everyone has a great mom like you have. And, people who love you and who are willing to support you. And
Yeah.
it's really important that we enroll somebody, a family member that's loving and kind and supportive, a friend, a neighbor, but someone who can really be there for you, or enroll in our program or some program that offers community
Mhm.
support, accountability, because it's important. I know we need to show up for ourselves, but for some reason, when there's somebody else holding the space with us, it just works so
Just
much
works so
better.
much better. I agree.
Yeah.
I really agree.
Yeah. Well, Brianna, thank you. Hugs to you from all the way over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love seeing the comments on my YouTube page of like, you inspired me to do XYZ. It's always, I get those DMs all the time of like my videos or why some people are getting out of their shell or actively trying to lose weight or helping with their anxiety. I'm like their comfort, that escape. And I'm like, I'm glad. I'm glad that you're not turning to other sources and that you found what works. And those messages are always just so sweet to read. It
They
kind of reminds
are.
me of why I started it.
Yeah, because like these journeys are long and I think that they're never ending.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so if the more we can stay in it with each other, the longer we can stay in it with each other, the higher the probability of success, because
Mhm.
it's hard to slip back, but it's also easy to slip back into it. And we have to help each other stay strong
Yeah.
inside of our
Mhm.
commitment. All right, Brandon, sending you lots of love. Talk to you soon.